Hey playa, welcome to another live stream here on my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Josh. Every single week I make videos sharing tips, ideas, and stories teaching you how to be your best self. So I'm super excited, super pumped to be back here live. It's been a while since I jumped on live with you guys. I want to give shout outs to the early birds in the chat. Those are the people that are jumping on here early from the get-go. Let me move the live chat over to the side here so it's easier for me to quickly see. But in this live stream, we're going to be talking about how to date a girl who is out of your league. Now, for the girls that are in this live stream watching as well, these tips are going to apply as well. If you want to date a guy that you feel is out of your league, we're going to break down what that means to be out of your league and some of the common things that people classify as making someone out of their league and how to overcome them. But before I get into that, I do want to give shout outs to the early birds here in the chat. Those are the people that are first here at the get-go. Emma Peterson, welcome. Hamish, good to see you, man. Nigel Williams, Johnny Ninja, Jenna Six, Alvin, Bryson Cormier, SRN Lethal, Lazy Boy Gaming, Yancey Corbin, Yancey Cobian, Just Will, Epic Person. Let's see, Anthony is in here, Dono is in here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. So as we kind of dive into this topic, I'm going to share a few things, but I definitely want to get your guys' feedback. This is definitely going to be a super Josh catch some sleep, right? You see the bags on the this is definitely going to be an interactive live stream, guys. I want to get your feedback. I want to know what's holding you back from talking to your crush, talking to the person that you like. What is it that's stopping you from going forward and talking to them? So we're really going to dive deeper into this out of your league concept, but ultimately I want to bring it back to you guys. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have stories to share, make sure to leave them in the group chat. This is a super interactive and friendly chat, so it's a great place to share things. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up on this video. Let's see how many thumbs up we can actually get. I want to jump in and kind of first break down what this idea means, being out of your league. What does it mean for someone to be out of your league? For those of you that don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, but the way I see someone being out of someone else's league is that you feel like there's some quality or factor or reason why this person would never want to date you, would never consider dating you, would never look at you as an option for someone to date. Earlier in this week, I did a video on how to date someone that's older than you. And a lot of times age might make a person out of your league, or you might feel like that's the factor that's holding them out, making them out of your league. That, man, they're just a lot older than me. They're never going to look at someone like me who's young and think I'm someone worth dating or someone they would like. So that might be your reason. For other people, a person being out of their league might be that person's like super, super attractive and like I'm just like a regular looking guy or a regular looking girl, and they're never going to look at me like I'm someone that can date them. You know, in some cases, you might even think that you're ugly in comparison to them. So why would they ever want to date someone like you? Another thing might be popularity, right? If you look at someone and you say, wow, they hang out with all the popular kids, they're really well liked, all the teachers love them, they do really good in school, like everything in their life is working out for them, you might feel like in comparison, because they're popular, they're never going to want to get with you, a regular person who's just kind of getting by. You might feel like you two are in different worlds because of that, and it's just impossible for you to potentially date them. Another potential reason might be that, maybe they're funny and they're social and they're super interactive with other people, and you're more shy and introverted, and you freeze up and get nervous in conversations. You might look at that person and say, wow, like they're so open and it's so easy for them to make friends, and it's so hard for me to do that, so hard for me to talk to someone that I like, that like it just would never work. We're such different people that they would never like me because I just don't have what it takes to keep a conversation going. I make things awkward. I make things weird. And because of that, they don't want to date me. So those are some of the common reasons why people see someone as being out of their league. I want to jump in here and ask you guys, I want you guys to share, we'll do a quick chat poll here. What are some of the reasons, either for yourself or things that you've heard as reasons why someone would be out of someone else's league? You can mention the ones I've already mentioned as well. I've mentioned looks, popularity, someone being social and funny, someone being smart might be a reason. You might feel like that person's way smarter than you. What are some of the things you guys see as would be the classifier as someone being out of your league? I know for myself growing up, a lot of times I felt like the girls that I liked, like they were social and they had lots of friends, and I felt like I was more shy and awkward. So I just thought they would never be interested in me. So that's what kind of held me back from going after them. I want to see what some of you guys are saying here. I see there's a bunch of questions in here. Guys, if you have questions and I don't get to answer it, you can always use the super chat function. If you look down where you're typing in the chat, that's the little dollar sign icon. If you click that, you could donate $1 or $2 or whatever you want. It'll put your question front and center. I'll stop what I'm doing, stop what I'm talking about, and answer your question, give you the right time to, to kind of share what you want to share, and I'll answer your question. So I asked you guys, what are some of the reasons why someone would be out of someone's league? Woke Scared said, I'm ugly in comparison to anyone. So feeling like you're ugly could be one of them. Hamish says, I used to be in love with a girl who was well out of my league. So Hamish, what was the reason there? Epic Person says, my crush is popular. How do I make her like me? We'll get to that, Epic. Reading through here, Anthony says an athlete. Yeah, so if someone is an athlete or they're athletic or they're into sports, you might feel like, oh, they're not going to look at me as anything other than just like a scrawny, weak person or something. Epic Person says she is popular and does more sports than me. So sports, yep, like you guys were saying. Emma Peterson said younger age may be smart. Yeah, if someone's younger, you might feel like they're out of your league. They may think you're just an old dinosaur and maybe they don't want to date you. Smart, intelligence might be something there. Dono says, I never thought that someone was out of my league. I'm just not confident enough to talk to a lot of girls. Dono, I think you're getting to the point that I'm ultimately going to lead to. Like, how do we get past this idea of someone being out of your league? Because really it's a construct we've put together. It's a construct that we use to kind of hold ourselves back from going after the things that we want. But we're going to dive deeper into that in a little bit. Reading through some of the rest of your guys' comments here. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I see people are jumping back into asking questions. So I want to jump in and answer some of you guys' questions here. So Dono, I think, made a good point. He said that he never saw anyone as being out of his league. He just didn't really have the confidence to talk to a lot of girls. And I think, Jasmine, how's it going? Good to see you, Jasmine Grace. I think that that's a very common thing that happens, right? A lot of times we will use the excuse, let's say, oh, that person's too popular and they're not going to like me. I'm just not popular. As a mask for not building our confidence, for not working on that element of learning how to talk to someone, learning how to get to know them better. Oh, why do I keep yawning so much? Learning how to just be a more fun person to be around. These are skills that you can actually work on and you can build and you can try to improve, guys. These are not things that are set in stone that are never going to change for you. You have the power to kind of work on them, improve them, and change them, definitely. And I think the key ultimately is to start putting it into practice by making the attempt to talk to people and talking to your crush and kind of getting that ball going. So I want to jump in and answer some of you guys' questions here. Lance Jamil Dela Cruz says, she's 1 year older than me. She has a lot of friends. Yeah, so the fact that your crush is 1 year older than you might seem intimidating. It might feel like, okay, she's a year older and her older friends are going to think I'm weird because I'm a younger guy. But even if she has a lot of friends, even if she is a year older, if you carry yourself in a mature way, if you talk to her in a way that she can have a conversation with you, she can joke around with you, and you can minimize that age gap simply by showing her that, yes, you're a year younger, but you're not the kind of kid who's maybe running around doing silly things or, like you're just sitting home playing video games all day and you have no kind of passion or purpose or anything like that. If your crush sees that you're someone who's motivated, who's confident and is going after what they want, that age difference is really going to kind of disappear. Looking back when I was in high school, my first high school girlfriend was a year younger than me, right? And I felt like we totally meshed and we totally connected. The fact that we were a year apart in age didn't really make a difference. I felt like the more I got to know her and the more she got to know me, I felt like we were on the same wavelength. So it's totally possible for you to build that up with your crush as well. Reading through some more things you guys are saying here. Yancey says, I want to talk to my crush, but I'm nervous. Yancey, I think that's exactly the point that we're driving here. It's that that fear of talking to someone, that nervousness that comes along with starting a conversation is what holds a lot of us back. And a lot of times we'll look for reasons and excuses and things to kind of keep us in our place. Oh, they're too far away in the hallway, I can't talk to them. Oh, they're always with their friends. Oh, I don't know what to say. Oh, they're going to think I'm weird. We come up with reasons to kind of keep ourselves just staying exactly where we are. So the question is, how do we get over that nervousness? How do we break that bond that's holding us in place? Well, I'm a firm believer, guys, that everything is small steps. You probably heard me say that once or a million times before, but I truly do believe that everything is small steps. And I think the way to start getting over that little kind of hurdle that's in your way is to practice with small steps. So Yancey, for you, one thing you may want to try doing is, instead of focusing on how do I date this girl, focus on how do I just smile at her every time I see her. Get into the habit of practicing that. Even that basic step is going to go a long way, because every single time you see her, if you're always practicing smiling, then you might move on to waving at her and saying hi. Then as you smile and wave and say hi, you might ask her how her day is. Hey, how's your day going? These basic little steps are going to help you start to ease into getting more comfortable around her. So that's one piece. Another thing you may want to do to start getting over your nervousness is to start practicing having conversations with other people that aren't your crushes. Now, people might think, well, that's a waste of my time. Why would I talk to people I'm not interested in dating? But I think conversations, and especially for if you're a young guy watching this and you have trouble talking to girls, which I think is the majority of young guys out there in this world, myself included when I was young, I think that a lot of times when you're struggling with just being able to have normal conversations with girls, you never practice. I'd say think about the girls that are in your class right now and just try to practice having a conversation with them. Ask them what they're doing over the weekend. Ask them if they saw the latest movie. Ask them if they ordered Disney Plus or they signed up for Disney Plus. There's a million little questions about things that you can ask just to get conversations going. And the more you start practicing with people you're not as intimidated by, the easier it's going to be to build up that skill, so that when you do eventually talk to your crush and you start a conversation, it's easier to maintain that. Okay, so that was a long answer for that question, but I feel like, oh my God, I ate pasta before, so that might be making me tired and yawn a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna jump back into some more of the questions here, guys. But I think that answer on nervousness is something that is going to relate and resonate with a lot of the questions you guys are asking. So let's jump back in, and I want to answer some more questions here, guys, because I do want to kind of go deeper into this out of your league. What does it mean when someone's out of your league? I saw that someone said they're going to order my book for Christmas. I missed who that was, but thank you so much. Guys, I think this is my book here, Embracing the Awkward, is probably the best Christmas gift you can ask for. Cheap plug. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, actually, I wrote a book called Embracing the Awkward. It's a guide for teens to succeed at school, life, and relationships. It has different stories from my own life here, advice, and different things that I've shared from my own experiences in life. So if you're interested, check it out. It's available on Amazon. Embracing the Awkward. Just type that in and it'll pop up. All right. Hamish says, Josh, she had a higher social status than me. Okay, so Hamish, looking at that, so if there's a girl that you like or a girl that you're talking to that has, let's say, a higher social status, meaning she's really popular, she has lots of friends, people just love being around her, and you may feel like you're not as good in comparison to her, well, how do you get over that? How do you kind of... How do you get to a point where you are going to... How do you get to a point where you're going to feel comfortable asking her to go out on a date? Well, I think a lot of times we think that because a person is surrounded by friends and because they're always socializing and interacting with people, that they are by default extroverted. And that's not always true. Sometimes people are very good at extroverting, right? So like when they need to be around people, when they need to be in crowds, they're good. But then majority of the time, they just kind of like to be alone, like to hang out, like to do their own thing. I think you shouldn't allow the fact that a person is social be intimidating for you, because people are social at different points in their lives, right? So Hamish, if you're surrounded with your friends, you're hanging out, you're probably very social and very lively and you're just enjoying yourself. For your crush, that might be when they're around their friends or they're just around people in general. I think when you are interacting with your crush and when you're talking to them, you need to speak to them as if you guys are on the same level. Because a lot of times this is what happens. When people are popular or people have a lot of friends, we tend to talk to them as if we're looking up at them and they're looking down. So we are very mindful of not wasting their time, of, not saying something that they may not like. We're very nervous to kind of lose their approval because we value their approval, right? We look at like the things they have to say to us. Oh, wow, this person's giving me their time. Oh, wow, this person's talking to me, as if they're any different from us. But at the end of the day, we're all the same, right? They're a person. They have to sleep and eat, and they have their own worries and anxieties and nervous thoughts just like you do, right? So you have to kind of normalize that person in your mind and realize, you know what? This person is no different from me. Just because they have friends, that doesn't mean that they don't get nervous, they don't get shy, that they know how to handle every situation, because realistically they don't. And I think that if you come into the situation with the sense of confidence that you're not going to allow this popularity to kind of interfere with your interaction with them, then I think that they're going to immediately see that you're being a real person, because a lot of times they're interacting with people that aren't being real with them, because people recognize their popularity, recognize their social status, and then interact with them as if that's the norm. I'll give you an example of that. So, I know Disney Plus just came out, and I know some of you guys might be watching old episodes of Even Stevens. So Ren in Even Stevens, Christy Carlson Romano. One of the years at Comic-Con, this is a few years back, I ran into Christy Carlson Romano. I was leaving Comic-Con, and she was coming into Comic-Con. And I'm talking with my friends, and I see her, and I think to myself, and I say out loud, "Are you Christy Carlson Romano?" She turns around and goes, "Why, yes, I am." And this is what happened. I'm going to tell you guys in a second, but thank you so much, Sly Rye, for the super chat. Sly Rye says, "Still in love with my ex-girlfriend who's dating another guy." That's a good point, Sly Rye. I mean, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with those feelings of still caring about someone, still wanting to be with someone, but now they're dating someone else? Well, you have a few different options. One of them is you can kind of wait it out, right? Hope that eventually they break up, and then potentially try to take your chance with asking her out again, right? It's a lot of maybes in that equation. Or you can recognize that things didn't work out with you guys. Try to understand the reason why. Because a lot of times when people say like, "Oh, me and my ex broke up and, I like them again," you have to think to yourself, why did you guys break up? Did you break up because there was a lack of communication? Did you break up because one of you got bored? Or did you break up because one of you cheated? There's a lot of different reasons why people break up. But the fact is that now that she's your ex, it's important to take the time now to reflect on the past relationship. Now that she's moved on, look, she may be happy with this guy. She may want to stay with him. Like, that's the sad reality, but that's the reality. And it's important to not live your life waiting and hoping that she's going to give you another chance. In fact, the better thing for you to do is to move on, is to practice talking to other girls. Maybe it's even to date other girls, because as you do that, you're going to gain more experience, so that, let's say your ex-girlfriend breaks up with that guy and you're single at the time, when you do eventually cross paths again, you'll now bring new experience to the table that you didn't have before. And that's going to bring you way farther than if you would have just sat around waiting and slumping and hoping that she would eventually break up with him and you can go out with her. It's better to be proactive with the time that you have rather than just kind of waiting and hoping, like I mentioned before. Thank you so much, Sly Rye, for the super chat. I think I've done a few videos on how to deal with being broken up with, whether or not you should date your ex. I would search my videos and see if those will be helpful for you. I appreciate the super chat and I hope my answer was helpful in some way. Hamish says, "Josh, she dumped me when I was 16. I was very, very sad, spent weeks crying my eyes out." I'm sorry to hear that, Hamish. I mean, that's something that definitely happens, right? Like, when you get broken up with, it hurts and it sucks. I want to do a quick chat poll here, guys. For those of you that have been in a relationship, I want you to tell me, have you ever been broken up with before? Has someone ever dumped you? Has someone ever turned you down? Even those of you that haven't been in a relationship, have you ever been rejected before? If you've been rejected or you've been dumped, write in the chat right now, write dumped, write rejected. Right? You did the rejecting, you did the dumping. I want to know where you guys stand. Have some of you guys never even been in a situation where you would have gotten rejected or dumped? Maybe you just are still too afraid to take a move and take a chance with someone. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Donna says, hey, this is the Josh Speaks classroom. You bring in food. You bring some for everyone, Anthony. Donna's going to the store. All right, Donna, see you in a bit, man. 75 Lobster says, my crush broke my heart and used me for my money. She now has a boyfriend and she knew I liked her, and I made that clear to her. I feel depressed and lonely. I feel like I have no one to talk to. 75 Lobsters, I'm really, really sorry to hear that, man. It sounds to me like she did use you, right? If she used you for your money, that's just a sucky thing to experience. I think a lot of times we try to do anything we can to get people to care about us the way that we care about them. And sometimes that's buying them things. Sometimes that's giving them things. Sometimes that's doing things for them that we don't feel comfortable with. So I think that if you're looking for someone to talk to about it, the best place I would recommend is joining the Josh Speaks community. If you go to the joshspeaks.com/discord, we have a bunch of boards in there. We have a board on relationship and dating and everything, so you can share your story in there. There's a great group of people in there that'll be helpful to hear you out and to share their own advice and own experiences. So you might want to jump into that Discord and check it out. But yeah, that's a sucky thing to go through, you know. Rejection is never easy, guys. I asked you guys here, have you ever been rejected or dumped before? I want to see what you guys had to say. Anthony says yes. Nija says yes. Grayson says yes. Dylan, yes. JQQ says yep. Atlanta Boy says yes. JL Sticka, maybe, says yes. A Ravage for Savage says, sadly, I was the one who decided to break up. Yep, sometimes that happens. Hamish says dumped. Caleb says no. Yolo says L. Let's see, dumped, rejected. I got rejected, says Atlanta Boy. Anthony says both. Lance says, I've been rejected and dumped thrice already. That's a lot of times, man. Yeah, I mean, looking through what you guys are saying here, it's like, a lot of you have been on the receiving end of getting dumped and getting hurt by someone before. And it's a sucky feeling. And I think a lot of times, once you've been hurt by someone, you become very hesitant to try again. You're afraid that maybe it's going to happen again. Maybe I'm going to make the same mistakes. Did I learn from the last time? Was there something wrong with me? Was there something wrong with them? A million questions come racing through your mind. And to tie it back here, when we talk about dating someone out of your league, I think a lot of times that same kind of millions of questions hold you back. I mean, the common issue that we just see popping up all the time here is just the simple fact of not wanting to get hurt, right? Ultimately, that's what it all comes down to. We are afraid to get hurt, and we're definitely afraid to get hurt by someone we care about. Sometimes it's a person that we care about that we know, and then sometimes it's a person we care about that we don't know, right? If you have a crush on someone that you think is just like the most gorgeous girl in the world, and you've never talked to her before, you're terrified to get hurt by her. You're terrified for her to turn you down or to make you feel bad for liking her, right? That's always a fear. But I think the big takeaway really is to realize that sometimes we need to experience that pain and that hurt so that we can learn from it, so we can learn how to deal with it. Because ultimately, if we just spend our entire lives avoiding taking action, avoiding going after what we want, avoiding asking out the girl that we want or the guy that we like, avoiding doing all of that, we're never going to have enough experience to take advantage of the best of situation when it comes our way, right? Because if there's someone out there for you that you really want to date and that you'd probably be a really good match for, do you think you're going to have smooth sailing with them? Like everything's going to go totally fine if you have no experience to back it up? Or do you think you're just going to fumble that because you haven't practiced in the past? I think for myself over the years, when I first started like approaching the girls that I liked or talking to them, I was super nervous and I messed it up a lot of times. I remember there was one time, guys, I'll share this quick story with you and then I want to read some more of you guys' questions in here. By the way, if you haven't hit the thumbs up on this video, guys. There was this one girl that was in my class and I was like, I just didn't really like her all that much. It was just a girl in my class. And then I remember I went to a party and it was like a big party. A bunch of kids were at the school there and she was there and she had her makeup done and she was wearing a dress and all these things. And I saw her there and because we were in the same class, I started talking to her and something clicked. I looked at her like, wow, like, I don't know what it is, but she's really hot. Now she was a super popular girl. And and, super, super popular girl that I just somehow connected with at the party. But during class and in the normal day to day, we just didn't really connect. It was just, in our own separate worlds. So I remember at the end of that party telling myself, wow, I really like this girl. I want to talk to her tomorrow. And I remember I was super psyched out. I was like, oh my God, but if I talk to her, it's going to be weird. And she's going to laugh at me. She's probably going to tell all her friends. Well, sure enough, can you guys guess what happened? Take a sip of water. So the next day at school, she was in, I think it was a math class, and she was sitting in the back and I was closer to the front. And I told myself, okay, at the end of this class, I'm going to walk up to her. I'm going to ask for her phone number, right? At the time, this is before texting was a big thing. So let me get her phone number. Or let me get her, I think it was her AOL account, something weird like that. But either way, I was asking, I think, for the phone number. So I walked up to her at the end of class. I stood up. And as soon as I started walking over to her, she started to blush, she started to laugh, and she started to look at her friends. And as soon as I kept walking, I saw her looking at her friends, and her friends kept looking at me laughing too. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is the most embarrassing thing ever, because clearly they know, and I know that they know, that I know, that she knows, that they know, if that made sense. I don't know. Everyone was in the loop. And when I walked up to her, I was like, hey, it was really cool hanging out with you yesterday. And I was wondering if I can get your number. And she said to me, oh, yeah, it was really fun, but I don't really like to give out my number to people. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, sure, cool. Number, forget I said anything. And I just turned around, walked away, and I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed because here I was challenging myself, pushing myself to do something out of my comfort zone with someone that I felt was out of my league. And I did it, and it failed, right? It didn't work out how I wanted to. I didn't get her number. She kind of was laughing at me. Her friends were laughing at me. It was kind of an embarrassing moment. But looking back at that experience, I think I learned something. And I think the learning, it really is what carried forward. Because look, realistically, time passed. I moved on from it. She moved on from it. It didn't matter. But what stuck with me was the lesson. And that's what I really want you guys to focus on here. The fact of the matter is that you will have moments where things won't work out, where things don't go your way, and those moments will pass. You'll get over them. You'll move on. You'll find someone new to like. But the experience you gain from trying something teaches you how to handle those situations. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I could have handled that differently. Maybe if I would have not asked for her number and played it a little bit more cool and just talked to her and talked to her friends, maybe then it wouldn't have been like, oh my God, what's he going to do? And it would have been more like, oh yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. He's confident. He approached me and talked to me. So the learning experience was the valuable piece that I walked away with. It wasn't the fact that, oh my God, this didn't work out, my life is over. It was, I got past that. And what I carried forward was something even greater. So that's long story, guys, but I want you to really focus on that and realize that that's what I'm trying to drive home here. When we talk about dating a girl or a guy that you like that is out of your league, the nervousness and fear that you get in wanting to approach them is only momentary. Meaning you're going to approach them, you're going to talk to them, they're either going to go for it or they're not going to go for it. But the lesson in the experience and the confidence in knowing that you did it, you push yourself, you challenge yourself, that's the real growth. So I want to jump back into the commentary. I want to see what some of you guys are saying here. Alvin says you should have asked for her Insta instead. This is way before Instagram was even around. I'm talking about back when I was in high school. So this was 2000, I want to say 2003 or 2004, right? It's crazy to think about that. But yeah, I graduated high school in 2005. So, and that's what's crazy. But anyway, so Grayson says, would a note help with being shy when you want to ask a girl out? That's a good question, Grayson. Should you give your crush a note if you're shy? Well, my personal take is that I don't think it's a good idea, and here's why. Number one, I could tell you a whole story about how I gave notes to my crush and it didn't work out for me. It just backfired. But the short version is this is why. When you give a note to someone that you like, what you're essentially doing is you're taking the amount of confidence you would have in talking to them, and you're halving it, because they're going to read that note. They're going to talk about it with their friends. They're going to make assumptions about why you gave it to them and what you think. You're really leaving things up to chance, and you're not taking control of the situation in the moment. So if you approach this girl that you like and you say, hey, I think you're really cool, I want to get to know you better. Let me get your Instagram. Hey, let's go out for a date. Whatever, however you approach her and ask to do something, she's going to look at that like, wow, that's a confident and bold move. But if you give her a note that says, hey, I really like you, do you like me back? Or, hey, I like you, do you want to go on a date? She's going to see that as half the confidence, because she's going to say to herself, well, why didn't he just ask me directly? Why did he have to do it through the note? Is he nervous around me? Does he not feel comfortable around me? All these questions are going to run through her head, and I think you're going to make things more difficult when it comes to later on showcasing your confidence for her, because she's already starting at a point where she doesn't see you as the fully confident person that you could be. So I don't think notes are the best thing to do. Stupid Idiot, that's a name, says, Grayson, do not do notes unless she is shy as well. I've tried notes before and most girls find it creepy and see you as someone who is scared. I do not think it's a bad idea, but you can try though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never had good experience with notes, and just the psychology of it, I think that, ultimately what we're saying is like, you're having that confidence. You're not putting your full confidence on display when you talk to her. MAIMB says, hey Josh, I want to know, I never talked to this girl. I'm in year 9 and I want to go out with her. How can I? So simple, straightforward question. If you've never talked to your crush, if you've never had a conversation with them, if you've never made eye contact with them, just no interaction with them, that's the first step. When we talk about wanting to date them, that's so many steps later on, because here's the thing, guys. I'm a firm believer that you should only date people that you feel a connection with. You shouldn't date someone just to date them, right? You shouldn't start with, I want to date that person. You should start with, I want to get to know that person. And once I get to know them, if I connect with them, then I want to date them. Dating is a secondary step to first learning about a person. So maybe I'm nitpicking the words, but basically it's like, if you want to get to know that person better, you need to start with questions. You need to start talking to them. I always think the easiest thing to ask someone is like, so what do you like to do for fun? What are some of your hobbies? Because by them sharing some of their hobbies with you, you now can make an assessment. Oh, cool. You like music? Do you play your own instruments? Do you go to concerts a lot? Do you like listening to music? Who's your favorite artist? There's a million questions you can ask, going deeper into the things that they share. But learning about their hobbies and interests, what they like to do for fun, is the best way to kind of kickstart that approach. Ethan Bridges says, I absolutely love looking at old photographs of young couples from the 50s on dates. Like the music and just how romantic everything was back then. It's so heartwarming. Ethan, I can dig that. I totally get where you're coming from, Ethan. I think that, the olden days has a certain aesthetic to it that's very romantic, that's very classic, and it just kind of brings you back to a different time period, Zenuf1 says, and maybe I said that wrong. Hey Josh, there's a girl in my college and she's out of my league. She has both looks and personality. We share the same sense of humor. I'm a lot more confident now than I was 12 months ago. Awesome. So that means you're recognizing your progress. You're recognizing that you're growing. So let me tell you a very, very quick story. I know I keep jumping into stories here, guys, but back when I was in college, there was a girl that I saw that was pretty, was smart, everything. She's like total package, like the hottest girl, one of the hottest girls I've ever seen in my life. I did a video on this, kind of breaking it down, but she was in my class and she'd always sit a few rows in front of me. And I remember for that semester, I would just sit in class and like, oh, she's so hot. Like that's all I did. And I did that for the whole semester. And there were times where like we'd make eye contact, but I never approached her. Then the next semester, she was also my class. She sat in the same general area. I sat a few rows behind her and I was like, cool. I could spend the whole class just like gawking at her the whole time. And some new guy just came in, sat down right next to her and said, hey, I'm new here. What's your major? What are you studying? What are you doing? Started talking to her. And I literally sat there watching the two of them talk. And guess what happened? Eventually they started going out because eventually they'd come to class together. They'd kiss, he'd bring her coffees, all these different kinds of things. I watched a relationship unfold in front of me in college simply because I didn't act on it. So if you're feeling more confident, if you feel like you're at that point where it's like, yeah, I feel a little bit more confident. I've never talked to this girl in my college. She's out of my league because she's super hot, super pretty. Trust me on this. what people, no matter what they look like, are looking for is connection with other people, right? They ultimately want connection. When we talk about someone being out of your league, if you can form a connection with that person and have that connection be built on, you guys have a similar sense of humor. You both have the same kind of interests or hobbies. Maybe you both have the same shared background, experience, or religion, or culture, or something like that. Maybe you both are in the same major, or you have the same goals for the future. Whatever it may be, form a deep connection, because all those factors that you feel pull them out of your league, looks, attractiveness, intelligence, all that stuff, it all levels out once you get to know them better. Trust me on this, guys. It's like we tend to think that, like looks, for example, is something that is always at the top of everyone's radar, but it's really not. Like looks are what attracts you to that person. But once you get to know them better, you start to love and appreciate who they are as a person, right? Which is why people in relationships, it's like the girl doesn't always wear makeup every single day. The guy isn't always working out to be strong, right? But they still love each other. They still find the other person attractive. They still care about each other because you grow to learn to love all the aspects of the person. So looks isn't always the top tier shining above every single possible thing, which most people tend to feel like it is in the beginning, but it isn't. So, look through some more of the things you guys are saying. Jaden Espinosa says, is it normal to date a 23-year-old girl if an 18-year-old boy is interested in her? That's a good question, Jaden. So if you, let's say, for example, are 18 and she's 23, is it weird to date her? Well, it really all depends on, I think, what kind of life stage you guys are in. So if you're 18, let's say, in college, and she's 23 in college, then you both are in the same general sphere of the life stage that you're in. You're both working towards a degree, working towards a job, whatever it may be. But if you're 18 in high school and she's 23 in college, or even 23 out of college, I forgot what age you're in college still, but that difference in what you're focused on in life might be the deal breaker, right? So like I said in the early beginning here, early beginning, I guess the beginning is early. That's why it's early beginning. Anyway, like I said in the beginning, age can definitely be a factor that makes someone kind of operate out of your league. So I think it's important for you to think like, what's her focus in life, and is it similar to my focus in life? Because if you're 18 in high school and you're focusing on graduating, going to college, and she's 23 looking for a job and she's done with college, yeah, it's going to be difficult for the two of you guys to really kind of lock up and really kind of build something with one another. I think it's going to be tough, but it is possible. Evan says, hey, my friend that I have a crush on just broke up with her boyfriend. What do I do? So your friend that you have a crush on just broke up with her boyfriend. What do you do? Okay. Now, your first instinct might be, I want to ask her out. Like, immediately go for it. But I think sometimes when people break up with someone else, they need a little bit of time to process it for themselves before they jump into anything else. In fact, they may even feel guilty jumping into something too soon because they feel like they're not giving themselves time to kind of get everything in order. So here's what I would recommend that you do. I think that if your friend that you have a crush on now is single, talk to her, get to know her better, spend a little bit more time with her. Don't be the shoulder that she cries on about the guy that she broke up with. Because a lot of guys tend to make that mistake. They fill the role of like, I'll be here so you can tell me all about your ex-boyfriend and why you're sad. And then they take on so much of a friend role that the girl no longer can look at that guy as like, oh, but he's someone on my date. They just look at it as like, oh, but he's such a good friend. He's so reliable. He's so soft and cuddly and such a teddy bear that I can kind of turn to. So you don't want to take that role on. You want to be in her life, but you don't want to be that teddy bear. So you can talk to her about what happened. I'm not saying like don't ever talk to her about her breakup, but don't be the shoulder that she always turns to cry on, because then you'll kind of friend zone yourself in that equation. You want your interactions with her to be fun and engaging. If she starts to feel down, say, come on, let's go out. Let's go for a walk. Let's go get something to eat. Let's go hang out together. You're introducing her to fun activities that break her out of that sadness rather than just like wallowing with her in that sadness. Emma Peterson says, I agree with Josh because my sister has a boy who is a friend and they hang out and they are midshipmen and they both have a passion to do something that will change the world. Absolutely, Emma. I think you're onto it. And to have a passion to make a difference. Yep. When you come across someone that you feel is like on the same mission as you, right? Like they want to help others. They want to succeed, whatever it may be. like that bond is so incredibly strong. And you can have that with someone totally out of your league, right? You know, the whole saying opposites attract happens for a reason. And it happens because there's something that bonds the two of you together. I'm looking through what you guys are saying here. James says, Josh, I constantly make eye contact with a girl. I'm in year 9. Do you think I could be creeping her out? That's an interesting point, James. So here's what I think. I think that if you constantly make eye contact with a girl, but you never say hi to her and you never approach her or anything like that, either one, she's going to think, all right, why is this guy looking at me? Or two, she's going to think, oh, this guy's looking at me, but he's not doing anything. So I'm just going to kind of not ever assume he likes me. You know, she's going to kind of recognize that you're not being confident, and she's going to lower that potential, like, oh, this guy, yeah, he just looks at me and stuff, but he doesn't act on it. She's going to feel like you lack that confidence. So if you're in year 9, I know how scary it is, dude. Trust me, I remember. It's not easy being a freshman or year 9. I think it's the equivalent of freshman, right? Kind of being early on in school and approaching someone and talking to someone, it's incredibly intimidating and scary. But I think that ultimately, if you want to potentially build something with her, or even if you just want to get more confident, just smiling at her, saying hi, and asking her how everything's going, or asking her how her day went, or asking her how her weekend went, would be tremendous steps above just looking at her. Like incorporating the hello, the smile, and the eye contact is all going to kind of help you take the next step forward there. So I would focus on doing that. All right, let's see. Jump through and answer some more here, guys. But I think I want to know if you guys are with me on this, if you guys are following me here. I want to do a quick chat poll here. I want to ask you guys. What do you guys feel is a factor in your life that might be holding you back from really just being confident in your interactions with someone you like? Do you feel like it's your height? Do you feel like it's the way that you speak? Do you feel like you don't really have the social skills necessary? Do you feel like you're just not a popular person? Do you feel like you're overweight? What's one of the main factors that you feel is holding you back from approaching someone that you really like? Stuart Douglas says, my crush knows I have mental health issues. What should I do? I hear you on that, Stuart. Stuart, by the way, thanks for jumping on here, man. Good to see you. If your crush knows you have mental health issues, I think a lot of times there's a fear in having that information be out there, having people know that, okay, I have mental health issues. I struggle with depression. I struggle with anxiety. I struggle with this. I struggle with that. We look at that as if like it's something that makes us lesser than, but it really doesn't. It's just something we're dealing with. Like every single person is carrying their own weight in some kind of way and dealing with their own issues. And I think that a lot of times we assume that the person we like has it all figured out, and they're going to look at us and they're going to think that we're broken or we're not good enough or that we're just not worth it. But the truth is that we are. You are worth it. I know that, that sounds cheesy and stuff like that, but I think it's so important to remember that because a lot of times we forget it. We forget that we are worth it. And we need to be reminded of that from time to time because we will beat ourselves down and we'll be our own worst enemy. And it's important to know that, it's like you have what it takes to be somebody great. And just because you have challenges, that doesn't make you any less of a person. You have all the skills and desire and drive and all the things you've built throughout your life. And you bring that to the table in every interaction you have. You may not know how to always do it perfectly. You may mess up from time to time, but it's there. Trust me, it is there. And if another person can't recognize that right off the bat or another person judges you for it, then that's not really the type of person you want to attract. So I asked you guys, what's the thing that you feel might be holding you back a little bit? And here's what you guys had to say. It's Roach said, wait. Elijah says, wait. Zero says, scared of rejection or embarrassment. Zhu Chan says, I don't have the social skills and heights. Kato says, I don't have the social skills. Lance says, jumped. Overweight and looks. Hamish says, confidence. Alvin says, weight. MDH says, fear of rejection. So a bunch of you guys are saying weight. Weight might be another topic that I want to come back to. Do another video on. Cato says, neither, I'm not popular. Zero says, and approaching them with confidence, fear of rejection. Alex U says, I think that one of the reasons why I'm so antisocial is because I overthink on my looks and overthink on my looks like my height, for example. Okay, hear you on that. Toastman says, the girl I like is one of my best friends, and I think it would be awkward if we were together. Yeah, that can happen sometimes. It can feel like, oh my God, we're friends though. How's it going to work out? Football says, I just have a big nose, I suppose, Josh. NG, please. NG, what is NG? I know NGL is not going to lie. JQQ says, speaking and wait. Okay. Emma says, holding my emotions and how to control my feelings. So reading through, yeah, guys. So, I mean, I think a lot of you guys, and just reading through. Yeah, I mean, look. Rage Master says, I'm not social. Rage Master says, a little too lazy. Young Aim says, I'm not very social. Yeah, guys, I mean, exactly like you're saying. I think that a lot of you guys share the same kind of challenges, the same kind of issues, the same kind of fears. That's why I think it's important that we have this community here. And I'll mention it again, guys. If you're not already part of the Discord, you definitely should join our Discord. Just go to the joshspeaks.com/Discord. It's free and open to everyone. We have a great community in there that's super helpful. And I think that being surrounded by people that want to lift themselves up and want to help lift others up is important. If you feel like you're beating yourself up or you're just down on yourself, like having a good community is what all of us should work to build. So I'm seeing a lot of Trump 2020 stuff in this chat. Let me take a sip of water. Bringing it back. I think that, like I said, guys, having a strong community is important. Having people you can turn to and talk to is the key to really learning and growing. That's why I put such a huge emphasis on it. I want to jump in and answer some more of you guys' questions. So post some more questions in the chat. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can before the hour is up. I won't be doing an Instagram after party today because I'm going to another YouTube event. It's a YouTube community thing that they meet every single month. So I'll go there and meet other YouTubers as well. It should be a lot of fun. But, you know, I want to jump and see what some of you guys are saying. Zhu Chan says, Josh, what's something I can talk about with someone I like? Wait, hold on. Let me read this again. Drinks to avoid Trump comments. I don't really have any comments on Trump. I got nothing to say. Josh, what's something I can talk about with someone about, like, I can't have something interesting to talk about. Okay. The water technique. Yeah. When someone mentions Trump, you take a sip of water. Anyway, Zhu Chan asked a good question. What are some things to talk about? And I know Hamish mentioned it before, but Zhu Chan, I don't know if you know, I have a free guide that I've put together called my 20 Icebreaker Conversation Starters. If you go to the joshspeaks.com/ice-breakers, hopefully someone can maybe write in the chat here so that Zhu Chan can check it out. But basically those Icebreaker Conversation Starters are things you can kind of work into a conversation to keep it going. Because a lot of times people don't know what to talk about in conversations. They run out of topics. They get nervous, and they feel like they just draw a complete blank. They feel like, I don't know what to talk about. Things are just weird now. But I think ultimately, when you run out of things to say, the best thing to kind of do is to go deeper into whatever it is you're talking about. So here's an example. Let's say Thanksgiving is coming up, right? For those of you that live in America, Thanksgiving is coming up. And for most of you guys, you have vacation, right? You get the week off or whatever from school. So one thing you may want to think about doing is talking to your crush and saying, what are you doing for Thanksgiving break? If they say like hanging out with family, doing this, doing that, you say, okay, cool. You know, have you ever traveled anywhere fun on Thanksgiving? If they say, oh, not really, just hang out with family, cool. Have you ever traveled anywhere cool to begin with? You just keep going deeper into that conversation. Or let's say, for example, you're talking about, like I mentioned before, let's go back to music. You might want to say like, You know what? Let's stick with what everyone's mentioning Trump. Let's say you're talking to your crush about politics. Without getting divisive and angry about it, you may want to say like, oh, what do you think about Trump? What do you think about, I don't know, the Democratic candidates? What do you think about this? Oh, cool. When did you start following politics? Who's your favorite? Who do you feel has the best ideas? You could start going deeper into those questions and break it out. But I definitely think the icebreaker conversation starters is a good place to jump into. Because it gives you 20 different things you talk about, and I break down even further conversations you can have. I'm trying to read through and pick out the actual comments. Guys, if you want to have a politics conversation, take it to the Discord. Let's see. Raheem Alivar says, I like a girl and I've been talking to her recently, but now I feel like the chats are just dry. How can I fix it? Yep, that's a good question, man. I think that things do get dicey fast with politics. I love to talk about politics, but I feel like you need to be in the right context. I don't think a live stream about how to date a girl who is out of your league is the right context to be talking about politics. That's just my opinion. But back to what Raheem said. Raheem was asking, conversations are running dry. How do you fix them up? Well, Raheem, I did a video in the past all about how there's kind of a bell curve when it comes to texting, right? A lot of times in the very beginning, you're texting your crush, you're talking to them, and things are good and things are fun and things are exciting because they're new. You guys are texting back and forth, but as you start to notice, texting kind of slows down. Maybe the messages start to get shorter. You start to see more of like a cool, yeah, haha, like these very basic, no enthusiasm in the message type of responses. And a lot of times that happens because people shift away from changing up how you're talking to them and you just focus on texting every single day. If you're going to keep texting them, here's what you need to do. You need to not only send them text messages, record little voice clips and send it to them. Take pictures of fun things and then tag them on it. Comment on their stories, comment on their posts, comment on things that they're sharing. Call them from time to time. As weird as that might sound, call them. Switching it up and changing it up might be totally interesting to them. You might want to say, I had 5 minutes and I wanted to just talk because I don't really want to text anymore. My eyes are getting tired of looking at the screen. Give them a call or suggest meeting up in person. Sometimes when you're texting so much and it doesn't lead to you meeting up in person, it gets boring. But if while you're texting, you say, you know what, you're a lot of fun to text to. Let's hang out and stuff. Let's meet up on Friday. Let's go somewhere. Switching it over from texting to in-person conversations is going to kind of revitalize that whole conversation. So that's definitely the direction you want to take because it's going to allow you to kind of keep things interesting along the way as you talk to them. Alvin says, how is the YouTube community that you're going? I think you mean, how is the YouTube community that I'm growing? Maybe. But the YouTube community I think is going great. I think that we have an awesome group of people in the Discord. We have a lot of awesome people here in the chat that just continuously are talking about politics. But Young Ames says CM Punk is back. But yeah, I want to bring this back, guys, to what we started on, which was talking to someone who's out of your league. So, there's a few things that we kind of tackled here, and that was feeling nervous. That was feeling like you're not good enough, to talk to that person. That was all these different random factors. They're popular. I'm overweight. They're muscular. They're smart. All these different factors that you kind of use as roadblocks for yourself, and taking those small steps to get closer to talking to your crush. So those are all kind of the keys, I think, that rounds it all off together. But another big piece when it comes to dating a girl, let's say, that's out of your league is the confidence piece, yes, but it's also consistently following up with her. This is something I think a lot of people falter on. So they'll build up the confidence to talk to their crush. They'll talk to them, start a conversation. They may even ask them out, and their crush gives them an answer like maybe, or we'll see, or I don't really know. And they take that as defeat. They take that as, oh, okay, yep, they're just not interested. Or I'll just sit and wait until they're ready to give me another answer. But if you're truly going to display your confidence, you need to keep following up with them. If they say, oh, I have to let you know, reach out the next day, reach out the day after, say, listen, I really want to hang out with you. I think you're a really cool person, and I just want to know when we can make this happen. The more you are consistent with it and talking to them and asking them and being there, the less they're really going to look at you as out of their league or someone they wouldn't date. A lot of guys, like you had mentioned, like a bunch of you guys had mentioned, feeling like you're overweight, and that being overweight is the thing that's holding you back. And look, I think that we should all work towards feeling comfortable with who we are. So if you're a little overweight, you could still be confident. If you don't feel comfortable with your weight, then exercise up to the point where you do feel confident. Whatever it may be for you to feel confident in your own skin and who you are. But I think ultimately what you need to really focus on doing is being consistent with that confidence. Is that a knock at the door? Oh no. Okay. Thought I was hearing something. Being consistent with that level of confidence, because in the beginning, let's say the person that you like might feel like, oh yeah, he's a little overweight, not my type. But if they see that you're willing to make jokes, if you're willing to talk to them, you're willing to get to know them better, you're willing to confidently approach them, confidently ask them out, they may just eventually not see the weight thing as an issue. You might say, wow, this person just is a lot of fun to talk to and is a lot of fun to be around. And the fact that you may not be the size you want to be is not going to ruin anything. It's not going to hurt your chances, because you've surpassed that limited mindset that they carried by showing them that you have way more qualities than you let up, right? That are just on the surface level and obvious. I want to jump and see what some more of you guys are saying. Juan says, Josh, I've liked this girl. I talked to her and flirted and texted, but she never seemed interested. Never seemed interested and asked to hang out like 4 times. But she always said an excuse. Should I move on? That's a good question. So let's say you like someone. Let's say you keep asking them out and they keep blowing you off. They keep telling you like, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I can't. Oh, like I got something to do. They're not being straight with you. Well, I think you have a few options. One of them being you could just say, peace, see you later, cut them off and move on. Another one being, you know what? I'm going to lower the amount of times I reach out to them. And I'm going to focus on talking to other people. So I think that's a better option, because look, sometimes people are busy. Sometimes people have things to do and they're not always free to talk. And it's not always that simple for them, right? It's not always as easy as like, oh, like I'll just like drop what I'm doing. It's like things might pop up. They may be busy. Okay, fine. I think that you just lower the amount of times or lower the importance of reaching out to them, and you focus on talking to other people. That might be the best thing for you to do, because you're not allowing your mind to just stay concentrated on one person. You're allowing yourself to kind of move on to others. Let's see. Grayson says, what do I do if my crush's parents don't like us dating? Grayson, that's a good question. Again, I did a video a while back called What to Do If Your Crush is Not Allowed to Date. Definitely check the video out. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you have to respect what the parents want. If the parents don't feel comfortable with their kid dating and they're like, no, you shouldn't date, it's just not, not allowed, or not until you're older, you have to respect it, right? You should never go behind your parents' back, and they should never go behind their parents' back and secretly date, because if the parents find out, what you ultimately end up doing is crushing trust. And trust is one of the most important things I think a child can build with their parent. And you build trust with your parents, and they build trust with their parents by showing them that you're being honest, you're being open, you're being direct, you're being genuine with them. The more trust you can build with your parents, the more they're going to be open and okay with you doing certain things. Now, look, sometimes they may have hard stops on what you can and can't do at different ages, but building that trust is ultimately what you want to work towards. Now, how do you build that trust with their parents? Well, like I mentioned in the last video, one thing you may want to think about doing is having your crush or the girl you want to date talk more about you to her parents. She may even want to FaceTime with you one day and then kind of turn the camera so you can say hi to the parents. The more that she normalizes the fact that you're involved in her life and that her parents see you and interact with you, the easier it's going to be for the parents to eventually say, oh, you know what, let's meet him one day. Or like, you know what, let's you can hang out with them, but I got to be there. They'll supervise or something like that. So I think that that's something you have to kind of play. It's a longer term game, and it's about building trust with those parents. Dario said, I agree with you, Josh, respect parents' decisions. Yeah, because it's like, look, and that's not to say every decision your parents are going to make is going to be fair. Sometimes they may just make irrational decisions and they're the parents, so they kind of win. But like I said, working on building trust, I think, is the key. Because if you're not building trust with the parents, then they're eventually not going to be okay with you dating. Alex, who says, Josh, so there's this girl that I've been texting for a couple of times, and I really think we have a connection, but I know this guy that also likes her, and he has better looks than me. What do I do? That's a good question, Alex Zeus. That really does tie back into this idea of dating a girl who's out of your league, dating someone's out of your league. You like this person, but someone else likes them too. Now, this guy is more attractive. You feel like, compared to him, you're not as attractive, so you have a lower chance. But here's the key. The person who has a better chance of getting with the girl that you both like is the person who consistently follows up with her, who talks to her, who jokes with her, who asks her out, and displays confidence around her. It doesn't matter if this kid is the most attractive kid in all of school, your entire school. If he doesn't have the confidence to approach this girl, talk to her, and connect with her, then his looks aren't going to bring him the whole way through. Looks get you ahead, but they don't get you to the end of the finish line. And that's something you need to remember in this equation. The upper hand that you have in all of this is the fact that you know what you want, and you're willing to be confident and go after it. Dario says, is anyone going to watch the Mr. Rogers movie with Tom Hanks? I'm definitely going to watch it, Dario. I have a surprise coming up soon, which I'll share with you guys a little bit later on. You'll see. It'll be on my channel at some point. But I do want to say this, guys. I want to give my final thoughts here, and then I want to hit the meditation bell, and we can all think about what we talked about today. My final thoughts here when it comes to dating a girl who's out of your league. I think when it comes to dating someone out of your league, you need to remember that the idea of leagues and where people stand is all made up, right? At the end of the day, we all have the same deep desire to be loved and accepted for who we are. And as long as you can provide that for who you like, they're going to look past popularity or weight or social status and all these different things. They're going to start to see that you're someone who is confident, who likes them, and who they feel comfortable with. Because ultimately, that's what it comes down to. You know, like someone had mentioned before, it's like you could take the most attractive person and put them there, but that doesn't mean they're going to succeed, because your crush has to feel comfortable with you. And if your crush doesn't feel comfortable with the super attractive guy, but they feel comfortable with you because you talk to them and you listen to them and you understand them, then I think you have a much better chance of actually succeeding. So guys, I want you to really think about that. I'm going to hit the meditation bell, and I want you guys to think about this. If you feel like the thing that's holding you back, whether it's your weight or your looks or popularity or anything like that, if you feel like that's something you want to overcome, you want to take that obstacle and you want to tell yourself, I don't want it to hold me back anymore. I want to go after the things that I want. I want to talk to the person that I like. If you're ready to make that decision, I'm going to hit the bell. I want you to think about it for 10 seconds. I want you to tell yourself that you're ready to take this next step. You're ready to be somebody great. Just 10 seconds, guys. Let's do the meditation bell. All right. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this live stream. I'm glad I got to answer so many different questions. It was a lot of fun. I always love interacting with you guys. Like I said, join the Discord if you want to keep the conversation going. You want to be part of the Josh Speaks community. It's just thejoshspeaks.com/Discord. It's a free community that's open to everyone if you want to learn and grow. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and I will catch you guys next time. On that note, I already said that. I'll catch you next time. As always, guys, love and peace. See you guys then.